small, moves through the dry grass. No fear, no pause. The honey badger, audacity, endurance, a relentless hunter. It digs, it chases, it attacks even enemies larger than itself. On the savannah, size does not always decide the fight. Far ahead, the water suddenly churns violently. The hippopotamus. Mass, territory, immense strength. It opens its jaws wide, defending the river without hesitation. Here, every creature fights in its own way to survive. Welcome to the African Savanna, the war for dominance of the savannah. If you enjoy the video, don't forget to like and subscribe to motivate us to keep creating higher quality content. And in your opinion, across the vast African savanna, who is the true king of this wild land? Leave your comment below and let's discuss together. Let's begin. Africa is home to a vast array of diverse species that coexist within its landscapes. It is the cradle of unique and world-renowned wildlife. In this video, we will take a closer look at the most formidable creatures of the dark continent, including zebras, leopards, wildebeest, giraffes, hyenas, lions, and many others. Some are apex predators, while others are their prey. A majestic and courageous lion reigns supreme here. With an incredibly powerful bite, a male lion can bring a swift end to its victim in an instant. The king of the African savanna often pursues and kills spotted hyenas. These animals are frequently cast as the archetypal villains of the wild and suffer a notorious reputation across the continent. They are viewed as opportunistic scavengers and harbor a long-standing hostility toward lions. In a life-or-death battle against a lion, a solitary hyena stands no chance. However, hyenas rarely travel alone. This male lion is patrolling his territory, but unfortunately, he has strayed too far from his pride and fallen into an ambush. More than 15 hyenas begin to encircle him. The king of beasts appears disoriented. This may be his first encounter with such overwhelming odds. The hyena clan closes in and the trap begins to close. Fear and desperation are visible in the lion's eyes, but luck is on his side. Another male from the pride appears and charges into the fray. The hyenas realize their chances of victory have vanished and choose to flee. The lion has been saved, and he will surely carry the memory of this lesson for a long time. Lions are the undisputed kings of the savannah. They are master hunters, but unlike other large cats, lions rarely choose to face their prey alone. They work in unison, coordinating their movements perfectly to slowly close in on an unfortunate target. Once within range, the lionesses launch a lightning-fast assault. The prey has no hope of escape, and within minutes, the struggle is over. By working together as a highly efficient pride, lions can overwhelm even giants like elephants or giraffes. However, the lion's preferred prey is the wildebeest. They are not too large for a single lioness to handle on her own if necessary. Serengeti National Park is home to an immense wildebeest population, numbering in the millions. A significant portion consists of calves and newborns, which serve as easy targets for predators. A hungry lioness waits for the opportune moment, lying in ambush within the low grass. In a moment of carelessness, the wildebeest pay the ultimate price, providing the lioness with a relatively easy meal. This lioness is hunting solo. She has been tracking this warthog for a long time, and now is the moment to strike. It takes little effort for her to overtake the unfortunate warthog, and a decisive bite to the neck ends its life instantly. However, such small prey cannot satisfy a lion's empty stomach. A larger kill is required, and this solitary buffalo appears to be the perfect target. Because the buffalo is so massive, several lionesses organize a coordinated attack, but the buffalo is a formidable opponent. Despite being attacked repeatedly, the buffalo's strength begins to wane, and it struggles to repel the mounting assault. The lionesses pounce together to bring it down, but a sudden force surges from within the beast. An intense will to survive erupts. The buffalo concentrates its remaining strength and launches a powerful counterattack. Startled and intimidated, the lionesses are forced to retreat. The buffalo is wounded, but its sheer will to live has triumphed. A failed hunt means the lions must endure their hunger once more. As darkness falls and the air turns cold, the lionesses begin their search anew. This time they are better prepared, and an elephant is selected as the next victim. While they normally avoid elephants, the desperation of hunger forces them to take the risk. They manage to isolate a young elephant from the herd, and at least 10 predators launch their attack. This time, the carnivores are successful. This young elephant will keep them fed for some time. It is a tragic end for the calf, but such is the relentless nature of the wild. African elephants are the largest land animals on Earth. Weighing 5 tons and standing 4 meters tall, these colossal creatures stride majestically across the vast African plains, presenting a truly awe-inspiring sight. These giants are peaceful herbivores, but they are not to be provoked. Elsewhere on the continent, we encounter another massive creature, the rhinoceros. The largest white rhinos can weigh up to 3 tons. They can be more aggressive and possess the unstoppable force of a tank. What happens when these two African titans meet? It is difficult to say for certain, as the outcome depends entirely on the circumstances of the encounter. In this instance, on a day without much tension, a male elephant simply tries to play with a rhino, and no conflict ensues. Elsewhere on the meadow, a rhino family encounters an entire elephant herd. This time, peace is not an option. The rhino parents fight desperately to protect their calf, and their sheer determination forces the elephants to retreat. In a similar encounter, an elephant shows a rhino exactly who is in charge. Footage shows the elephant's effectiveness as it strikes the rhino with such force that it nearly knocks its opponent over. The rhino attempts to counterattack, but its horn fails to pierce the elephant's thick hide. The battle continues until the rhino eventually chooses to flee. This is a clear case where size plays a decisive role. The crocodile is the apex predator of Africa's rivers. Adult crocodiles have very few natural enemies, with the rare exceptions of a hippo or an adult elephant. Drinking at the water's edge in crocodile territory is a perilous risk for any animal. While quenching their thirst, animals can be subject to a lightning-fast, deadly accurate strike. The strike of this prehistoric predator is terrifying. Even swift predators like the cheetah must exercise extreme caution. Yet, the lure of fresh water and a desperate thirst can cause even the most cautious animals to lower their guard. That single lapse allowed this impala's leg to fall into the crocodile's horrific tooth-filled jaws. The animal fights with everything it has to escape, but the reptile refuses to let go. After a monumental struggle, the impala finally breaks free. It is a miraculous escape. The wild world is unforgivingly cruel, and stories do not always end so fortunately. The Kalahari Desert is a hostile environment for all living things. Food is scarce, forcing the local inhabitants to adapt to extreme conditions. The Kalahari is home to unusual insects known as African armored crickets. They can neither fly nor jump, and they have developed a taste for meat. Nearby, the nest of a red-billed weaver sits in a tree. It is the height of the breeding season, and the chicks have just hatched. The chicks are hungry, and the parents must leave the nest to forage. But they are not the only ones looking for a meal. An army of hungry crickets begins to advance toward the defenseless chicks. They skillfully scale the tree trunk, but the nearby parents detect the threat and rush to defend their young. The birds attack with force, but the crickets are not easy prey. They possess a robust shell covered in spines that provides reliable protection against such attacks. Furthermore, these crickets have a secret weapon. Through openings in their exoskeleton, they spray toxic hemolymph at the bird's eyes. The weaver is momentarily dazed, but continues to attack boldly. After falling from a great height and landing hard, one armored cricket remains alive, but the scent of its blood attracts its own kind. These hungry monsters do not care if the victim is their own species. These carnivores devour their kin without hesitation. The weaver bird watches in horror as the grim drama unfolds. This is the secretary bird, a truly unique creature. Unlike other birds of prey that strike from the sky, the secretary bird hunts on foot. While it is capable of flight, it seems to prefer walking. A secretary bird can cover up to 30 kilometers a day across the African Savanna. This large bird can reach a length of 155 centimeters and weighs about 4 kilograms, with a wingspan exceeding 2 meters. The secretary bird may spend hours roaming the savanna in search of food. It possesses excellent vision and a highly specialized diet. Its favorite prey is snakes. When it detects a target, the bird launches a series of powerful rhythmic kicks. Its attack resembles a deadly dance. These blows are devastating because the secretary bird has powerful feet and sharp claws. Rodents are also on the menu for this bird. With a single, incredibly strong strike, it can shatter the victim's spine. This unique hunting style sets it apart from all other avian predators. Secretary birds can form pairs at any time of year, depending on the availability of food. Their courtship ritual is simple. The male and female spread their wings and chase one another across the meadow. The pair will build a home together using branches, animal hair, leaves and grass to construct a massive nest, some up to 2.4 meters wide, which they will use for years. By working together, hunting becomes more efficient, allowing them to catch faster prey like hares. This is a feat that would be much harder to achieve alone. The secretary bird nests atop small, flat-topped trees. They meticulously gather materials and carry them to the heights. The female usually lays no more than 3 eggs. honey badger is a fearless, aggressive, and entirely unique animal. To earn its reputation, it has overcome countless challenges. Its name is derived from its legendary love for honey. African bees are an extremely aggressive species. They work for months to collect nectar and will defend it ferociously. The bees sting the badger relentlessly, but he refuses to retreat. Despite the agonizing stings, the honey badger overcomes the hive's defenders and claims his prize of sweet, fragrant honey. Found across Africa and Asia, the honey badger will eat almost anything it finds. Here, it has spotted a rock hyrax. The small hyrax is on the menu of many predators, so it has learned a few survival tricks. It hides deep within a thorn bush where few predators dare to follow. But this time, the honey badger has seen it. Long, sharp thorns pierce the badger's skin, but it has a much higher pain tolerance than most animals. The poor rodent's luck has run out. Today, the predator is a honey badger. The reward for such extraordinary endurance is a rich and nutritious meal. It is time for a more serious test. The badger must learn to withstand venomous bites, and the scorpion is the perfect training partner. While its venom isn't as potent as a cobra's, a scorpion's sting is intensely painful. The honey badger endures the pain and eventually makes a snack of the arachnid. With another test passed, it faces its gravest challenge, a battle against a venomous African snake. In the end, victory belongs to the honey badger. He begins to consume the snake starting from the head, but something happens. In its death throes, the snake manages to land a bite on the badger. The massive dose of venom causes the wound to swell, and the badger collapses in pain. He loses consciousness, and it seems the snake has claimed its revenge from beyond the grave. However, after 2 hours, the honey badger wakes up and simply continues eating the snake. Under the scorching sun of the African savanna, rivers and marshes become vital oases. Here, one of the continent's most colossal inhabitants dominates the shallows, the hippopotamus. Weighing over 3,500 to 4,000 kilograms, it is the third largest land mammal on the planet, surpassed only by the elephant and the white rhino. For most of the day, its massive body remains submerged beneath the murky water. Its thick, nearly hairless skin loses moisture easily and burns quickly under the sun. Thus, the water is not merely a refuge, but essential to its survival. Only when night falls do they leave the river and move silently onto the shore to forage. An adult hippo can consume up to 40 kilograms of grass in a single night, traveling several kilometers before returning to the safety of the water before dawn. At first glance, the hippo appears slow and peaceful, but that is a dangerous illusion. In reality, it is one of the most aggressive and unpredictable animals in Africa. Its aquatic territory is defended with absolute determination. Any intruder, be it a crocodile, an antelope, or even a boat, can become the target of its aggression. When threatened, it opens its enormous mouth to reveal tusks that can reach 50 centimeters in length, capable of crushing bone with a single bite. Despite its heavy frame, it can reach speeds of 30 kilometers per hour on land, faster than any human. Even apex predators like the lion must proceed with caution. A lion that ventures too close to the bank may be chased or even killed by a hippo. In the water, hippos don't actually swim like other aquatic creatures. Instead, they walk or bound along the riverbed with powerful, sudden movements. They can hold their breath for up to 5 minutes and, remarkably, can even sleep while submerged. They rise automatically to breathe through an ingrained survival instinct, never fully waking. Their presence also shapes the entire ecosystem. Their waste provides essential nutrients for fish and microorganisms, forming the foundation of the aquatic food chain. The trails they carve when leaving the water become highways used by many other species. However, beneath this fierce exterior, unexpected moments of grace sometimes occur. Cases have been recorded of hippos driving crocodiles away from carcasses or from areas where calves are present. On occasion, they even seem to accidentally protect other small animals in distress. These actions may not be born of a conscious desire to rescue, but rather from a powerful territorial instinct. Even so, in this unforgiving world, the line between aggression and protection can be surprisingly thin. As the sun sets, large, rounded heads emerge slowly from the depths, eyes and nostrils silently scanning the world around them. In the realm of African rivers, the hippopotamus is the true king of the water, a giant as fearsome as it is vital to the balance of nature. Africa is a land of extraordinary creatures, where each species plays a unique role in the symphony of life. Which of these animals has impressed you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments. Every year on the African plains, one of nature's greatest miracles unfolds. wildebeest migration. Annually, herds of wildebeest abandon the parched grasslands in search of fresh grazing and water, elements essential to their existence in a new land. They eventually return to their place of origin, following an ancient natural cycle. On this journey, they will cover a distance of approximately 3,200 kilometers. This cycle includes the birth of some 250,000 calves, balanced by the deaths of many others. Throughout this grueling trek, the wildebeest face many deadly perils, yet nothing can deter them. These migrations have occurred for millennia across the African equator. The vast grasslands, covering some 26,000 square kilometers adjacent to Lake Victoria, are the ancestral home of the wildebeest. While this land appears peaceful today, its origins were violent. To the north and south, its boundaries are marked by volcanic cliffs. Long ago, those volcanoes erupted to create the fertile, flat plains often referred to as the Garden of Eden, the Serengeti. Today, the volcano Oldoinyo Lengai still occasionally rumbles, spewing ash as a gentle reminder of the cataclysmic forces that created these plains. The Serengeti is the starting point for the wildebeest migration. They journey west toward Lake Victoria, then push north before finally circling back to the Serengeti. The wildebeest is a peculiar creature in appearance. It looks like a biological puzzle, assembled by nature from the parts of many different animals. On the stage of the wild, the wildebeest can seem almost comical. They are elegant in their own way, though far from ostentatious, earning them the nickname the Clown of the Savannah. May is the month that signals the start of the massive migration. The rainy season has ended, and the breeding season begins. Consequently, males constantly test their speed and strength against one another on the plains. Each bull must fight to maintain a territory where females wait to mate. They mark their boundaries by rubbing their horns against bushes to warn off rivals. Wildebeest battles are rarely prolonged, as they must frequently pause to watch for predators like leopards or lions. By June, the herd is no longer a disordered mass, but is divided into distinct groups. Each group consists of many females under the leadership of a dominant male. To maintain this position, the male must constantly prove his worth through relentless challenges. This ensures that the next generation of wildebeest is sired by the strongest and most capable parents. Over the next 6 months, the wildebeest must build up fat reserves for the migration, the battles, and the mating season ahead. At this time, the herd is constantly harried by leopards and lions. However, because their numbers are so vast, these losses do not threaten the survival of the species. Under the harsh African sun, the grass begins to wither and water sources dry up. These animals are forced to seek a new home in the north. As they depart, the wildebeest move in a sprawling mass toward the edge of the plain. They leave slowly at first, lingering at the last remaining pools before the dry season takes hold. Under the summer sun, as the earth begins to crack, more than 1 million animals withdraw from the Serengeti to begin the true journey north. Raising massive clouds of dust, the wildebeest travel kilometre after kilometre through scrub forests. In the north, the rains are more frequent and the meadows remain green. Upon finding fertile ground, the wildebeest stop briefly to establish new boundaries before continuing their trek. At this stage, 90% of the more than 300,000 females in the herd are pregnant. Africa's ungulates can coexist peacefully because their needs are distinct. Giraffes use their long necks to reach acacia leaves high above, ignoring the sharp thorns. Buffaloes graze on the dense, coarse grass. Gazelles prefer the short grass, while zebras use their strong jaws to tear through the toughest vegetation. The wildebeest, however, have fewer options due to their sheer numbers. They eat almost anything, and their voracious appetite forces them to keep moving, leaving behind a bare and exhausted landscape. For lions, life is comfortable as long as the herbivores remain within their specific territories, which can span up to 390 square kilometers. But when the herds move on, the lion's food source vanishes. This is a death sentence for many lion cubs. In fact, nearly 50% of lion cubs die of starvation during this period. Tied to their territory, the lions can only watch helplessly as the wildebeest herds thunder into the distance. By July, the wildebeest have reached the western edge of the Serengeti. They gather at the banks of lakes and rivers that are receding further from their reach every day. Every few days, the wildebeest must drink, and crocodiles are waiting to exploit this necessity. In the struggle between fear and thirst, thirst often wins. The pressure of the crowd forces some individuals directly into the water and into the path of a crocodile ambush. A crocodile's teeth are designed to grip, not chew, so they tear their prey apart and swallow it in large chunks. For the rest of the herd, this is the tragic price of survival. The wildebeest migration also provides a bounty for pelicans. As the massive herd crosses shallow pools, they churn up the mud, making it impossible for fish to breathe. When the fish rise to the surface, they become easy prey for the waiting birds. The wildebeest march northward in great columns, leaving deep scars on the earth. It seems as though every other animal on the path, is swept up in the rhythm they create. In August, dry riverbeds are suddenly filled by mountain storms, creating powerful currents that block the wildebeest's path. Even though they are strong swimmers, many are swept away by the force of the water. Older, weaker individuals and young calves often get stuck in the mud on the banks and never make it out. While most of the herd reaches the other side, some do not. The river scene can look like a cruel massacre, but with millions of wildebeest in motion and countless calves born each year, these casualties are small in proportion to the size of the herd. Only a tiny percentage stay behind, providing a feast for the fish and vultures that pick them clean to the bone. By September, the fields turn yellow and withered under the sun, eventually catching fire. There is no year in which the Serengeti grass does not burn, plunging the landscape into smoke and flame. While the fires do not physically harm the wildebeest, the grass they need becomes increasingly scarce. The smoke and flames create a midday darkness. For the wildebeest, the once fertile plain is now a barren wasteland. Driven by the hardships of the dry season, the herds have no choice but to push onward. More than 1 million wildebeest continue their journey, leaving tracks across the blackened meadows. They eventually reach the Mara River and the northern cliffs of the Serengeti, 320 kilometers from their goal. They have traveled across thousands of winding kilometers to reach fresh grass. As they walk, vultures follow from above, watching and waiting in silence. Vultures often nest in the cliffs. When the morning thermals rise, they take to the sky to follow the herd. A single vulture can travel 300 kilometers in a single day. When a wildebeest falls, it becomes a feast for vultures and other scavengers. Once the birds have finished, a final guest arrives: the grassland moth. It lays its eggs inside the dead horns. Inside that dark keratin, a new life cycle begins. The eggs hatch into caterpillars that feed on the horn's nutrients before transforming into moths. Thus, from a dead horn, new life emerges. But this only happens to the carcasses left far behind, as the main herd is already hundreds of kilometers away. In the north, the wildebeest find more food, but they also encounter new predators. Wildebeest calves frequently fall victim to leopards. A leopard may kill a young wildebeest and drag it into a tall tree to eat at leisure. In October, the rains finally return, reviving the parched earth and bringing hope to the wildebeest and many other creatures. In the south, the meadows begin to green once more, signaling that it is time for the herds to return. Meanwhile, the heavy rains in the north can cause flooding. and the wildebeest must leave to avoid the risk of hoof diseases. On the return journey, the wildebeest do not move in dense masses, but in long columns that stretch across the land. Traveling at a slower pace, they take the opportunity to regain the weight lost during the long dry season. A common affliction during the migration is gid, caused by fly larvae deposited in the nose. While usually snorted out, a larva can occasionally reach the brain, destroying the animal's sense of balance. The unfortunate wildebeest will then spin in circles until it dies of exhaustion. An ill animal's unusual behavior quickly draws the attention of predators like hyenas or wild dogs, who end its life before the disease can. Alongside those who fall are the newborn calves. Born in a land of many enemies, they have only minutes to stand up and learn to run. Within 5 minutes, they are on their feet, and within 15, they can run as fast as their mothers. More than 250,000 are born this way each year, and they still have a long road ahead of them. Just like the adults, the young face countless perils on the trek back. They must cross vast stretches of water where the unexpected can happen in an instant. On the banks, the sheer density of the crowd creates chaos, often separating calves from their mothers. Mothers will swim back into the water to search for their young, resulting in a continuous, desperate loop of movement. Calves search for mothers, and mothers for calves, often crossing paths in the middle of the lake. During the crossing, the weak become exhausted and slip beneath the surface. It is a punishing migration that perhaps only wildebeest or reindeer could endure. At the lake crossing alone, up to 1,500 calves die in the shallows, while others are caught by predators in the scrub. This is the law of nature. Without these losses, the wildebeest would overwhelm the plains. The carcasses left in the lake provide a massive nutrient boost for flamingos and fish. Finally, by April, the herds return to their starting point, and soon a new risky cycle will begin. For now, the animals live in peace on the green Serengeti meadows. Fossils confirm that wildebeest have performed these northern migrations for more than 2 million years. In all that time, they have not changed, nor have they needed to. For them, the crowd is the ultimate survival strategy. The loss of individuals to predators, disease or disaster is part of the natural balance that helps keep the species strong. Thus, the clowns of the savannah continue their 2 million year run through history. The defining image of Africa is not necessarily the giraffe or the elephant, but the clay castles that rise in diverse shapes and sizes, built by tiny inhabitants of the soil. These are the termites, and their presence has shaped life across the continent. The world of the termite is a fascinating realm. An African elephant may only eat 10% of a tree it knocks down. The termites process the rest. Individually, a termite consumes very little, but their staggering numbers compensate for their small size. Termites are blind, yet they possess the ability to create some of the world's most stunning architectural wonders. Weighing no more than a match head, they build structures that can weigh 10 tons and stand over 6 meters tall. These termite mounds are as impressive as the great pyramids built by humans. Their nests radiate a strange beauty that draws the attention of many African animals. From a distance, a mound looks like a solid fortress. Deep inside, life proceeds in total darkness within a highly complex social structure. Often called white ants, they're actually distant relatives of the cockroach and have inhabited the earth for hundreds of millions of years. A nest includes thousands of chambers of varying sizes and purposes. The layout of these rooms follows no set rule and resembles the architecture of no other insect. Each termite's life is governed by a strict division of labor. Roughly 2% of the inhabitants are soldiers equipped with massive jaws. These are sterile females. Worker termites come in 2 sizes and are also sterile. Small workers handle domestic chores, while larger ones are responsible for building and maintaining the nest. They are nature's finest builders, using their saliva as cement to construct the strangest works in the natural world. Termite mounds come in countless shapes and sizes. Termites are instinctive meteorologists. In areas of heavy rain, they build their nests with umbrella-like covers for effective drainage. In hot regions, they vent heat from the nest using tall ventilation shafts. They adapt their architecture to the specific climate and soil of their territory. If a termite were the size of a human, its 6-meter castle would be the equivalent of a skyscraper 4,000 meters tall, weighing many times more than the pyramids of Giza. If you press your ear to the ground in the middle of the silent African savanna, you may feel deep, slow vibrations, the heartbeat of the planet itself. It is the signal that a giant is approaching. From the horizon, massive silhouettes gradually emerge from the golden dust, walking with the calm of creatures that have no natural enemies. Elephants, the largest living land animals, can stand 4 meters tall and weigh over 7 tons. They are the last descendants of an evolutionary line stretching back 60 million years. Their ancestors shared distant evolutionary links with marine mammals like manatees and dugongs. Even today, their internal anatomy retains traces of this aquatic origin. Over millions of years, they have adapted to dominate dry lands from the vast African savanna to the dense jungles of Asia. Despite the harsh environment, an elephant's existence depends entirely on plant life. Each day, an adult can consume up to 140 kilograms of leaves, grass, bark, and branches, while drinking over 150 liters of water to sustain its colossal frame. Their most vital tool is the trunk, a structure of tens of thousands of muscles, strong enough to snap branches, yet delicate enough to pluck a single blade of grass. The trunk allows the elephant to breathe, drink, feel, and communicate, serving as the center of almost all its vital activities. Their curved tusks are used for digging for water and food, and as weapons in confrontations between males. In these battles, strength and will determine the right to survive and reproduce. Under the blistering sun, skin up to 2.5 centimeters thick protects the elephant from extreme temperatures, but their giant ears are the real key to survival. A dense network of capillaries inside the ears allows heat to dissipate as they flap them in the breeze. They frequently coat themselves in mud, creating a natural shield against the sun and parasites. Despite their massive size, elephants move almost silently thanks to soft pads under their feet. When necessary, they can reach speeds of nearly 18 kilometers per hour. They are also excellent swimmers, capable of crossing deep water for hours using their trunks as snorkels. Behind this massive appearance lies extraordinary intelligence. An elephant's large, developed brain allows it to remember water sources across many seasons and recognize individuals it hasn't seen for years. They communicate using low-frequency sounds called infrasound, which can travel over 10 kilometers through the air and ground. These vibrations allow herds to maintain contact even when separated by great distances. Upon meeting, they touch trunks and caress one another, reinforcing bonds that have existed for decades. Elephant society is guided by memory and the experience of its elders. An elderly female, usually one who has survived many droughts, serves as the matriarch, guiding the herd to food and water across arid lands. Calves are protected by the entire herd, kept in the center of a circle of giants whenever danger appears. After a gestation period of nearly 2 years, a newborn elephant stands up quickly, taking its first steps among its massive protectors. Other females in the herd take turns caring for the calf, using their trunks to welcome the new member of the community. Meanwhile, adult bulls usually live alone, wandering through extensive territories. During the breeding season, a surge in hormones makes them strong and aggressive, leading to violent confrontations for access to females. These battles can last for hours, with tusks clashing with enough force to shake the earth before the weaker bull retreats into the vast savanna. But the elephant's true power lies not just in its size, but in its silent role within the ecosystem. By clearing trees and opening paths through dense thickets, they create routes for other species and maintain the balance of the habitat. The wells they dig provide water for dozens of species during the dry season, and the seeds they carry help regenerate the forests of the future. With every slow step, the elephant carries the memory of an ancient world. They are living witnesses to the history of evolution. They remind us that even in a hostile world, true strength can coexist with gentleness, intelligence, and a memory that spans generations. With their giant size, elephants have a massive impact on the flora and fauna of their home. They can uproot entire trees, transforming savanna into open meadow in just a few hours. The waterholes they excavate attract many other species because they must eat frequently and migrate long distances. They are the ideal transporters for seeds. Many seeds travel through the elephant's digestive tract across vast distances. Smaller animals, such as baboons and other monkeys, often follow elephant migration routes. Dung beetles also follow, feeding on the undigested matter in the elephant's waste. While adult elephants have little to fear from other predators, calves that wander from the herd are vulnerable targets. Lions, hyenas, wild dogs, and even tigers in Asia may attempt to take a calf. However, the greatest threat to the elephant remains humans. The African elephant is currently listed as vulnerable, while the Asian elephant is seriously endangered. Their numbers have been halved in the last 60 years due to habitat loss and illegal hunting. Meat, hide, and especially ivory are the targets of poachers. Once processed, ivory is a pure white material historically used for piano keys, billiard balls, and luxury goods. The word elephant comes from a Greek term meaning white ivory. 1/3 of a tusk is composed of living tissue similar to dental pulp, with nerves reaching nearly to the tip. Therefore, ivory cannot be removed while the animal is alive without causing agony. This causes immense physical and mental trauma. While regulations vary globally, the international ivory trade is largely prohibited or strictly controlled to protect these animals from exploitation. Nevertheless, poaching remains a painful obstacle in the protection of both African and Indian elephants. Historically, large portions of the Indian population depended on the ivory trade for their livelihood. Criminal syndicates continue to hunt elephants for their ivory and meat. Others are killed in trophy hunts. Since ancient times, humans have domesticated and trained elephants for entertainment. Even today, they are found in zoos and circuses. Many protest this, arguing that captivity is inhumane and harmful. Training often involves severe physical and mental pressure. Many elephants in captivity have a significantly shorter life expectancy than those in the wild. They are also exploited for heavy labor in remote areas or as transport for tourists. Elephants are valued because they are easy to train and can operate in tropical climates where modern machinery often fails. Throughout history, elephants also participated in warfare. Generals and kings led attacks from the backs of elephants, using them as massive war machines. Perhaps the most famous case is Hannibal of Carthage, who crossed the Alps with 38 elephants in his bid to conquer Rome. King Ptolemy of Egypt also used an army of Asian elephants to consolidate his power. Execution by elephant crushing was once a form of the death penalty in Southeast Asia. Yet, wild elephants remain very difficult to control. Their volatile temperament during the period of musth can cause them to go into a rage and attack humans if provoked. It is reported that enraged elephants kill more than 100 people annually in India alone, with global deaths from elephant attacks estimated at around 400. Some attacks are believed to be acts of revenge against humans who have mistreated other members of their species. Though seen as symbols of gentleness and wisdom, these unusual characteristics have contributed to their current plight. They have been pushed to the brink of extinction in a modern era that has little room for wildlife. Though their future is uncertain, the elephant remains the majestic giant of the natural world. As the sun sets on the African horizon, the final light tints the endless meadows gold. Wildebeest herds continue their 3,000-kilometer migration, a journey that has existed for over 2 million years. Lions return to the shadows to guard their vast territories, while in the distance, elephants continue their slow trek, covering up to 20 kilometers a day in search of food. For millennia, this rhythm remained unchanged, creating one of the most complex and sustainable ecosystems on Earth. But in the last century, that balance has been challenged like never before. Recent climate studies show that average temperatures in many regions have risen by more than 1.5 degrees compared to the pre-industrial era, and the frequency of severe droughts has doubled in just 50 years. About 30% of seasonal surface water in East Africa now disappears earlier than it did in the last century, forcing animals to travel further and increasing mortality rates. The African elephant population plummeted from approximately 1.3 million in 1979 to about 415,000 today. Lions, once found across nearly the entire continent, now number only about 20,000 in the wild, a reduction of more than 90% of their historical range. These figures reflect more than just the decline of individual species. They are symptoms of a system under immense pressure. When water runs dry, every step becomes a matter of life and death. An elephant can dig a well over a meter deep, creating a source of life for dozens of other species. A wildebeest carcass feeds vultures, hyenas, and countless smaller organisms, ensuring that no part of life is wasted. This is a natural system in which everything is recycled and nothing exists in vain. Yet, hope persists. More than 15% of Africa's land is now protected within national parks and reserves, and in some regions, elephant and lion populations have begun to recover thanks to strict conservation programs. As long as the herds keep moving, the roars keep echoing, and the deep vibrations of elephant steps continue to pulse through the earth, the heart of the savannah will keep beating. Thank you for accompanying us to the end of this journey. Documentaries like this exist to record, educate, and inspire, helping people understand that the wild world is not just a spectacle, but the very foundation of life on our planet. If you want to continue exploring the world's greatest ecosystems, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for our next episodes. Your support helps us tell these vital stories before they exist only in memory.